Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for part 5 of the Monday Q&As. At last, we are almost done. So let's finish it off. Hey Jason, I was wondering, do you have to burn through your muscle glycogen before your body will start burning adipose? And for the unaware, adipose means fat. The answer is no. Now, when you have extremely full glycogen stores, your body will burn more carbs than fat. But you can still burn fat, particularly if you're doing some sort of lower intensity cardio, things like that. Your body's still going to be burning fat. You're still going to be burning some fat when you're at rest, irrespective of glycogen stores and circulating glucose, but it is at a lower degree. But the question becomes, if you are eating a fairly high carb diet and a relatively low fat diet, it's still not going to matter that your glycogen stores are full, because ultimately you're still going to have to burn some fat for the day. And if you're in a caloric deficit, you're still going to lose body fat irrespective of what your breakdown is. It doesn't matter what your ratios of carbs and fat and glycogen are. But if you don't have full glycogen stores, your training is going to suffer. Your performance is going to suffer. Your risk of muscle loss could be higher as a result of that chronically. So to answer your question, it can slow down fat burning, absolutely. But if you also have full glycogen stores, you're probably not at a caloric deficit anyways. You're probably at maintenance, or most likely at a small surplus if you actually have full muscle glycogen stores most of the time. So you're not burning fat anyways at that point. That's the whole point. It's about energy balance. So no, you shouldn't be trying to deplete glycogen stores so that you can burn fat more efficiently. You'll burn fat if you're in a caloric deficit anyways. You shouldn't need to micromanage that to the degree that people do. It's really silly. All right, next question. Do you recommend novice lifters to use the mixed grip when deadlifting? Does the mixed grip actually cause muscle imbalances severe enough to hurt my gains in the long run? To answer the initial question, yes, I do recommend them using a mixed grip. My wife, I've never had her do anything but a mixed grip, and she's been training for a little over 4 months now. And the reason is you simply cannot grip as much weight. You're not as stable. You're going to get bar roll. If you're doing double overhand and you're not using a hook grip or something, you have inertia when you lift the weight that's going to cause the bar to roll, and it can roll out of your hands easier. You're not going to be able to hold as much weight. Just use the mixed grip. Now, the mixed grip needs to be done appropriately. The supinated hand, you need to always check and double check that you have the elbow locked completely. That's your real concern, is injury from lifting too heavy of a weight with a bend in the elbow. As far as the muscle imbalances, no, most of those muscles that are going to be slightly shifted different, the deadlift doesn't build them up particularly effectively on its own. There are other lifts involved that are going to put more stimulus on them. So no, you shouldn't see a muscle balance difference. But if you are concerned that you will, then just alternate it from time to time. You can change it from session to session. One time when you deadlift, do it this way. The other time when you deadlift in another session, do it that way. And that will balance it out over time if you're concerned about it. But I don't think you're going to see any significant or noticeable muscle imbalance, or even an insignificant amount for most people. All right, last question of the week. Why do so many people think 3x5 is inappropriate for hypertrophy? Quite frankly, because people don't understand how hypertrophy works. They don't understand how workload works. They've been fed a lot of stuff from magazines, a lot of nonsense. And 3x5, particularly as you get more advanced, can absolutely put a lot of meat on you. I think 5x5 is a little better for the novice because they're not that strong yet. But what you'll notice is that a lot of the early football programs and things that were written in the 70s and 80s were actually oftentimes only one work set of 5, with ramping sets that weren't truly heavy set, but they still contributed. And keep in mind, the goal of most of these programs was to maximize strength, functional strength, and maximize hypertrophy, because the more muscle you can put on a football player, the harder they're going to hit on the field, the better they can take a hit on the field pound for pound, because fat can help with that, but not as much as muscle. So you're always trying to bulk them up as big as you can. And these were written by professional coaches, and it was always very successful. This whole idea that's come out that you need these very large amounts of volume to induce hypertrophy is coming largely from the drug world, and because people seem to respond well on ultra high volumes on drugs. And combined with the fact that a lot of people are trying to do tons of different isolation movements instead of just doing big, heavy compounds. They're not strong enough oftentimes to recruit all these stabilizers and things, because if a person's never deadlifting as a male over 400 pounds for their work sets, they're just not hitting the same stabilizers and other muscles through the body to the extent that they should be as if they were truly strong. And so because people are generally weaker who these days, because of their training style, who train for these sort of things, they can't always recruit all of the muscles that they would like to for maximum hypertrophy off of lower volumes but higher intensity levels. So these are all factors involved, but the truth is, yeah, you can get really big off of 3x5, you can get big off of 1x5 if your lift selection is appropriate and your workload and intensity are high enough. You can absolutely gain tons of muscle doing it either way. And people do seem to forget that there is more than one road to achieving the goal of getting really big. It's not just one way to do it that is effective and efficient. All right, guys, so that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time. But let me give you guys a bicep shot before I go.